Hi, my name is Bailey. I decided to do my mock client on a recovering alcoholic. I am doing my internship in a recovery center for recovering alcoholics and drug addicts. So this is why I chose my mock client this way. And her information is a 32 Caucasian. Um, she's single and female, obviously, and she's struggling from alcoholism. Um, it's a new alcoholism for her. And why this is because she went away to a master's program. She wanted to go to a program that was closer to her family. But the school that she ended up going to was more prestigious. And during her first semester of school, her boyfriend of 3 years, and they were planning on getting married, cheated on her. So she started to feel lonely and being away from her family and even being abandoned because the one that she loved cheated on her. She was very quiet in general, so she didn't involve herself in any community, um, anything, events, or even clubs at school. So it even made her feel more alone, and her grades started to drop. And she wasn't going to class. She stayed drinking at night to just drink her feelings away. And eventually, she realized that she needed to turn herself into a recovery center. And she did this by herself, even though she knew that she was very depressed and didn't necessarily want to go to the recovery center, but knew that this would be best for her. Um, After the semester, her parents found out about her grades, and they were actually very surprised um, about that. And so when they understood, and they just figured that she's alone and lonely and she wants to come home, and so they didn't really question her about that. So when she did come home, she again uh, continued to drink because she was feeling the same way, even though she was in her um, a more comfortable environment. She didn't tell her parents about turning herself into the recovery center. Um, so after a couple weeks, her parents noticed her being very quiet and seemingly depressed and just not herself. And both of her parents are nurses, so they work in the evening. Her dad came home early one night and found a whole bunch of bottles in her room, and he called 911. And after the emergency visit, she admitted to her parents that her grades had dropped because she was not going to class because of how she felt alone and abandoned, and that she turned herself into a recovery center. And so the three of them agreed that she needed to continue to go back into a recovery center again, and that the three of them would go see a therapist together. A problem partially with the parents is they are too involved, and she relies on them too much. So she doesn't make her own decisions. She doesn't see how her decisions make a positive or a negative effect, and I want her to see the consequences, or the positive consequences even, that come from her decisions. So I want her to start to make her own decisions. Um, she because she hid her drinking, it took a, a little bit longer for the parents to realize what was going on. So um, she's very secretive about that to herself, so she didn't want her parents to find out. So that was a problem for her, of her hiding her drinking. And because her boyfriend was cheating on her, she lost a lot of trust. So this relationship that I've been having with her has been a bit difficult, but that's okay because I know that's going to happen, and it's going to take a lot more time. But I'm there for her to start building that relationship so that we can work on a future together, with continuing to the skills that she's learning with me, and even through the recovery center, for this to be a lifelong um, opportunity for her to use these skills for the rest of her life, so she doesn't feel the urge to to start drinking again. So the theory that I will be using is, well, it's the behavior theory, but I'll be focusing on operant conditioning. So behavior theory defined is ideas about human actions and emotions develop, are sustained, and are extinguished through principle of learning. And with operant conditioning, it is the consequences of present behavior that result in future behavior change. So I was wanting her to, one thing that we were focusing in, that we will be focusing on during the present, the, sorry, the session, is what are some things that she can do for herself during her own time, or even with other friends, that she can kind of, instead of drinking, what can she put in place of that as like a positive reinforcement? Because positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement are two aspects of the intervention. And so with that positive reinforcement, she'll be getting a lot of positive attention and accountability as well. And positive reinforcement is giving something positive to strengthen a behavior, and a negative reinforcement is taking away something negative to strengthen the behavior. Um, and also, punishment is another aspect of operant conditioning. So negative reinforcement and punishment may seem the same, but they're not. The difference is that punishment weakens or reduces the frequency of a behavior by adding something negative or removing something positive. So again, I hope that you enjoy the session. Thank you.